Hi, my name's Pauline. I'm the person behind Whispering Horse. I wanted to talk to you today about something that's been on my mind for quite a while in regards to my horse Flash. Flash is a standard bred. He's an ex-racer, an ex-trotter, and he carries a lot of trauma and a lot of worry from his previous life. I did a video a while ago that I was quite happy with and quite proud of, and felt that I was helping Flash with his worry and anxiety in a really practical and positive way. And I had quite a number of negative comments. One person who felt that I was not respecting his feelings, that's the way he felt, and I should leave that alone. And another person, actually someone who follows my page regularly, equated what I was doing to him to sexual assault, which was pretty horrifying. All I was doing was shaping him to move his head towards my hand so I could lightly stroke his face to condition his face being touched as a positive experience instead of a negative experience. Having been a horse in harness, I obviously don't know what happened to him, but I've heard stories and had people experienced in the industry say that it's quite common for them to be restrained in harness, to be hit and punched, and generally they use a lot of quite harsh and restrictive gear, and they usually start training them as foals. So based on Flash's behaviour, the way he responds to me and other people, there are certain things about him that indicate that there is some trauma there. And one of those things is having his face and his head touched. He generally doesn't enjoy being touched or scratched. I've yet to find places he enjoys being scratched. And in the earlier years that I had him, he was extremely defensive about being touched, and particularly on his face, and he would try and nip and bite you or push you away. So I felt that it was something I could help him with, help him heal, rather than, to use an analogy, live with a 1,000 cuts. I felt that conditioning him to feel okay about somebody touching or stroking his face, not only for medical care, which interestingly he does allow, but more as a sign of affection or saying hello or whatever. I just felt it would be nicer for him in his life generally to not have such an aversion to it, and clearly it was triggering some kind of memories or trauma or pain, and I felt his life would be improved by trying to change that emotion, which is what we can do. I'm a clicker trainer, a positive reinforcement trainer. I can train behaviours, but I can also condition emotional responses. So I can help him change how he feels from something unpleasant or negative to a more positive feeling. So that was purely my aim, not so that I could touch him and pat him on the face whenever I felt like it, because I always respect their need and their want not to be touched. But I just felt like if somebody did it, or I did it accidentally or without thinking, that it wouldn't be a big problem for him, that he would be okay with it. So it really saddened me that people didn't seem to understand that, and that there was an assumption that I wouldn't have his best interests at heart. And that they just didn't understand that well, there's respecting his emotions, and then there's letting him continue to be unhappy his whole life when it's within my power to change how he feels about something like that. I don't think that's disrespecting his feelings to change something that other people did to him. He wasn't born like that. That's not a natural way to feel or behave. That is something that somebody did to him that I felt I could help him undo. And when I posted about it on Facebook, I ended up deleting those comments and deleting the video because I figured people just didn't understand. And it's been sitting with me all this time, and I thought I'm going to talk about it on my own terms and see if hopefully people can understand. Now that you've enjoyed some beautiful photos and videos of my horse Flash, I'm going to show you the video in question. And as you'll see, it's very simple, it's very innocent. Flash is not being re-traumatised, he's not being coerced, he's a smart horse, he's an experienced clicker-trained horse, and he understands how to do targeting. And so I simply hold up my hand and he understands that he brings his face to it, and the consequence is just food. So although we call this an operant behaviour, where he is operating on his environment, interacting with my hand for the consequence of food, what's also happening at the same time is operant counter conditioning, where the touch of his face is being countered from a previously negative emotion, a negative experience, to a positive one via the food, but also the control he has over the exposure. Basically, if he really didn't want his face being touched and he found it very unpleasant and aversive, he wouldn't do it, or he wouldn't do as much as he's doing. And he's not doing a great deal, and a few times I do touch him to give him some clues as to what the behaviour is, but he controls the exposure, how long and how much I touch him for, wherever possible, whilst still actually trying to have the process where I'm touching him and pairing it with food. So there is technically no classical counter conditioning because he is doing something for the food. That was it basically. Pretty simple process. Me trying to help my horse do the right thing. And people need to judge, be unkind. I don't know. All I'm ever trying to do is help my horses and my donkeys and other people's horses and donkeys and help those people. So I don't know why people have to infer unkind and negative actions on me and people like me. I'm going to continue to condition Flash, and hopefully I'll have a video in the future where we can see that he's okay having his face touched. He's happy to have his face touched. I'm not going to do it all the time, but I just like him to be happy about it.